Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of When Games. Today with me I have Niko from Blockstars.
Hey guys, great to be here. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, Blockstars, we're making a management simulation game. It's, I believe, the very first management sim on any blockchain. We are partnered with Eden Games, which is awesome. So that's where you can go and find the Blockstars. And yeah, basically the goal of the game is to manage these Blockstars, which are rock stars on the blockchain. You put them together into bands. They have different musical skills and rarities. And you're making music. You're making virtual music and trying to rise up the singles and albums charts. Get enough earnings so that you can build your own record label over time and start signing other bands to it. So we think it's a really fun game, and we think it's a great fit for blockchain. And happy to talk to you guys about it, and all kinds of other things as well.
So when you say management sim game, do you mean like Football Manager? That's the management sim game that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. So, Football Manager is my favorite game of all time. I've been playing it since 1992, 30 years. I put in hundreds of hours, if not 1,000+ hours every single year. It was updated every season. And yeah, the fiction in that game, of course, is managing a soccer team, football or soccer club, really, not even the team itself, but like all of it, the finances, the scouts, the physios, the general manager, the everything, including the players, of course. And so the fiction is football, soccer, but the actual gameplay itself is really this like deep management of stats and making sure that everything kind of fits together, and like you're optimizing for all the different personalities on the team and the different skills and the certain, the different kinds of teams you're playing against, managing the tactics. So that's what a management sim is at heart. And yeah, Football Manager is my favorite game, and it's the perfect example for what we're trying to achieve here. So instead of a football sports fiction, we're doing a music management fiction where you're the band manager or trying to become the music mogul through, putting these bands together, these block stars with different skills and abilities.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna make both of us feel incredibly old. You've been playing that game as long as I've been alive.
Yeah, I'm I'm dating myself a little bit here, but yeah, definitely that game came out in 1992. I was hooked on it right away, and I literally, like I said, I've been playing it every single year. I update to the latest version. Played on Steam. Used to play it on floppy disks back in the day. Like totally dating myself here. And then CD-ROMs, and now, of course, it's all on Steam. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to build something and create something that you want to play for 30 years or more, for decades. And if you get it right, the management sim genre in particular is exactly that kind of game where you just go with it, and it's like every year there's something a bit more complex, a bit more interesting under the hood, and you want to just kind of dive into it and spend those hundreds or even thousands of hours playing it each year. So yeah, that's our vision for what Blockstars can become over time.
Um, I would love to hear how you took that inspiration from Football Manager into Blockstars, because the more natural progression would be just doing another sports sim or just even doing a football manager based on blockchain. I'm really curious why you pivoted into doing kind of a music-based sim management.
Yeah, we chose music as a theme just because we think music is it's universal. Everybody knows music, everybody loves music. Even though Football Manager obviously has a very fanatical following, in the United States in particular, soccer, football is not quite as popular as, basketball. Go Warriors, good win last night. Or American football, or many other sports, baseball. So we decided to do something that's a bit more universal. And music, of course, is a universal theme. Everybody understands, what music is about. It's about expressing yourself. And there's something for everybody in music. There are 96 different subgenres of band that you can create. Everything from, dance music to metal to folk to Irish country to all kinds of crazy, wonderful things. So there's a little bit of something for everyone. And so that's why we chose music as the theme or the fiction for our game, because it's just universal. It's just something that everybody gets.
Got it. I would also love to hear a little bit more on your background as a founder and also, yeah, as a project owner. Um, for people creating games, I've seen a different scope in terms of where people are coming from. Some people never created games before. Web3 is their first foray into creating games. Some people very experienced Web2 devs from AAA companies like Riot, Blizzard, wherever it might be. Yeah, so very curious what your background is.
Yeah, so I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. This is my fourth company that I founded. started out in just kind of Web 1.0, honestly, and then got into gaming at Zynga. I was not a founder of Zynga, but I was there pretty early, as was my founding team of Blockstars. We all got to know each other back in the early Zynga days. We started out building Mafia Wars on MySpace before Facebook Canvas was even a thing. Then, of course, Farmville when Facebook opened up. And then ended up co-founding another company called Rocket Games with Corey, my co-founder here, which was mobile gaming. And then co-founded a company called Drive Time, or Drive FM as we branded it to, which was voice gaming. We were literally making a trivia game that you could play using just your voice while driving your car. Our tagline was "Play games while you drive." We were literally the only gaming company that was targeting the commuter driver, and now we're building on blockchain. So, kind of the through line for us, the DNA that we come with is we love new technology platforms. We love these big shifts in consumer behavior. Whether it be social networks with Zynga, or mobile gaming with Rocket, or voice gaming with Drive FM. Now we're doing Blockstars on blockchain. We love building at the kind of the cutting edge of technology and tapping into these nascent consumer behaviors and building games. Like, that's the thing that we love doing. We love building games at kind of the intersection of the cutting edge of technology and these kind of cultural shifts, like we're seeing with blockchain. The communities that form are so powerful, so strong around these different projects, and games is no different. Like, people who love a certain kind of game, in our case, the management sim genre, like, they're really passionate about that genre, and they kind of come together in this really powerful way. So yeah, we've been doing this for a long time now. So we started Zynga, I think, in 2009, like very early on, 2008, 2009 timeframe. So we've known each other for 12, 13 years now. And we've been making games together as a team that whole time across all these different technology platforms and cultural shifts. And so, yeah, we're super excited about blockchain, super excited about Web3 gaming, and we like to think we have a pretty experienced team that knows what it's doing and kind of can deliver on this promise.
Your team sounds incredibly agile and also multi-talented to be able to navigate all these different platforms and different genres of games. And I would love to hear a little bit more about what it's been like creating games in Web3. The community is just entirely different. It's very degenerate, and maybe that's a bad word to use. Maybe the better word is very grassroots. As game devs, a lot of times you're able to maintain what some would call a healthy distance from your players. Sure, every now and then, someone on Twitter will probably yell at you about, oh, your game sucks, oh, learn to balance. But for Web3, it's completely different. It is crucial that projects and games are maintaining an active Discord community. So you're in the battlegrounds on a day-to-day basis, talking to your users, and the expectation is also entirely unrealistic. I know in the traditional gaming world, product cycle can last somewhere between 2 to 3 years or even longer before you even have something playable that you want to show off to the public. But that kind of timeline does not fly in Web3. So as someone that's worked in many different genres and many different platforms, what's your experience been like building in Web3 and building a blockchain game?
Yeah, it's such a great question. Yeah, it's every time we've been working on new technology platforms, kind of on these shifts, like, there's always something unique about it. And what's unique about blockchain and Web3 is exactly right, is that community aspect, right? And there are these, we collectively as developers haven't helped ourselves. We try to be realistic and put realistic timelines and roadmaps out there. But, there are plenty of teams out there who are saying, like, hey, we'll build a AAA game in 3 months. And it's like, yeah, that's just not how it works. I'm sorry. It's like, it takes a while to do things well, to have quality. It takes time, right? And so, yeah, you're exactly right. Like, AAA games easily have, 24, 36-month cycles in order to get something that's even playable. And even then, that doesn't guarantee that it's going to be successful. So what's been interesting about this environment for us is that we've actually kind of tried to embrace it. We've tried to embrace the fact that, like, hey, it's okay to have this passionate community that has expectations, as long as you manage those expectations appropriately. And so what we do on the regular, which is very different to how we've operated in the past, is just being incredibly transparent. And so we talk to our community all the time. We have a very active Discord. We do multiple AMAs a week, different times of the day, to capture people in different time zones, which of course is also interesting about Web3 is like it's such a global phenomenon. Like your community forms all over the world in many languages. And so that's really what we've tried to do. We've tried to say like, okay, hey, everything moves at the speed of crypto. Everybody's got these crazy high expectations. Okay, well, let's embrace that and be transparent with our community and just talk on a daily basis about how we're doing, what we're shipping. And so we have a very detailed white paper out there, which we put out there even before we started forming the community. So we could say, hey, look, here's what we're trying to do, guys. Like we're being really transparent about this. We've got a blog that we're constantly updating with all the feature releases and everything that we're doing, talking about our company culture and the kind of the game that we're trying to build. And then of course, we've got an active Twitter presence, an active Discord, just a lot of stuff going on all the time. And in fact, next week is NFT NYC. We'll be meeting some community members there who are actually in town as well. So making ourselves really accessible and available to our community and trying to be as transparent as we possibly can about what we're doing, how long it's going to take, what the end product's going to look like, and so on. Being honest is kind of like, that's our thing, or we try to be honest and transparent.
Awesome. It's actually really surprising to hear that. Not to age you even further, but generally the older devs that I've worked with have been pretty disheartened with the Web3 community. I've heard a lot of comments regarding, man, this community just doesn't get it. They're not actual gamers. They want to just flip and make money and buy ugly monkey pictures. They're not really here for the technology or the gameplay. And it's really refreshing to hear that point of view from someone older and someone more experienced and who I would have imagined to not be as in tune with Web3.
Well, so here's the thing. I can see the perspective of some of those developers. We from the very beginning, we set out to build a game, right? And so we've never promised high floor price. We've never said like to the moon. I know that language. And actually, I'm a DGen myself. Honestly, I've like having gotten into the NFT space. I have a huge collector of NFTs. I do active trading. I buy things I like. I do no research whatsoever most of the time. I'm just having fun, right? It's a fun thing to do. And being a DGen NFT collector myself, like I can totally understand the perspective of like, okay, why is the floor price going down or why is the floor price going up? Like when moon, right? And so again, this kind of ties back to what I just said previously, which is, hey, look, we're trying to be transparent, right? And so we've from the very beginning, we've said we're making a game. We don't necessarily care. We're not trying to do a play to earn, right? Like we're not trying to make this a job. We reluctantly use the term play and earn. But even that I think isn't quite right. Like we're trying to make a fun game, right? And what we've found is that we have found our community has found us because they have been attracted to what we're building, the game itself, right? Not the ugly monkey pictures, right? That you refer to. I have some ugly monkeys myself. Totally fine to have ugly monkeys, but not in our game. So what we've actually found, and this I know it's coming, it's bubbling up, it's still nascent, it's still very degen driven, like a lot of the loudest communities and the most active communities with high floor prices and the kinds of collections that focus on floor price tend to attract this type of personality, a younger male, right? Let's be honest. What we have found is that our community is more mature, and I don't mean like other collections or communities are immature, but we have a very mature community that's quite patient, because we've been very transparent with them, and is there for the game and recognizes that it takes a while to build a game. And it's actually really interesting. A lot of our community members, they bought into Blockstars as their first NFT. So they're not like the crypto degens who are like buying every project. They are crypto curious, NFT curious. They're looking at this stuff. They're trying to figure out what's going on with this incredible trend that we're all riding, the Web3 trend. The wave that we're on, and they're trying to navigate that, and they're gravitating towards Blockstars because they're finding that, hey, we're a welcoming place. We're not trying to promise you the moon. We're an experienced team of builders that is very doxed. We're very out there. Like we're post links to all of our socials and our LinkedIn profiles and things like that. And I think that has attracted this is, I believe, is the second wave of NFT collectors and Web3 enthusiasts. It's coming behind the degens, and it's the mass market, right? It's people who are like, yeah, I get it. Crypto is going to be a thing. NFTs are going to be a thing. this is a huge market, this is a huge opportunity, there's excitement and fun here, but they're not like going in there like day trading NFTs and
Mm.
monkey pictures day in, day out. They don't have the time to do that. They have jobs, they have families in many cases. We have a lot of players who have kids and they're buying Blockstars for their kids to play with them in the game, which is awesome. Like we love to see that. So yeah, it's a long answer, but that's what we found. Like we have found an audience that I believe is a way bigger than the DGen audience. Quite frankly, it's the gamer audience, and they're coming. They're slowly but surely coming to Web3, and we're definitely finding that our community is in that category.
Awesome. So I talk to a lot of Web2 devs on a day-to-day basis that have not that much NFT knowledge, definitely not as much compared to you. What would be your word of advice for traditional devs that are looking to build in the blockchain space?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the key is really know where you're building, know the communities, know the other developers. We've been trying to do a very active job of connecting with other game developers and getting and even other collections, not just games, but other collections that kind of share our values, and learning from each other, sharing knowledge where appropriate, coming on shows like this, and talking about our experiences. That to me is the biggest thing. Don't build in a vacuum, right? Like the worst thing you could do as a game dev or any dev is don't build in a vacuum. You need to understand what the communities look like, who are the key people to speak to, how do you share knowledge, how do you take the learnings of what everybody's doing, because look, we're still so early. I think we all recognize this, right? Like we're still so early. There's so much like craziness in the markets. They're up and then they're down and then they're going to go up again and they're going to go down again, and this is just the nature of the beast that we're riding on right now. So for anybody coming into blockchain, firstly, got to have a long-term horizon. If you're trying to build for the short term, like, yeah, maybe you can ride a hype cycle, but you certainly can't time the market. Absolutely impossible to time the market. Nobody can time the market. And so be in it for the long term, be in it for the right reasons, and get to know the communities. Just talk to people, and be humble about how little all of us collectively know about this space. Like nobody knows where it's going to go. Nobody knows how it's going to evolve. It's the same thing with any new technology platform, and just move fast, but be in it for the long term. That's my advice.
Awesome. Great advice, by the way. So let's talk about something a little bit more fun. You said you're an active trader and you own a lot of ugly monkey pictures. Sorry, Solana monkey business. I actually own two of them too. And generally, I don't think they're that ugly. It's just word I hear a lot whenever I talk to traditional devs or my more normie friends. They're like, oh, NFTs, those are the ugly monkey pictures worth 6 digits that celebrities buy. But that for another day. What are your favorite projects right now? And yeah, I'm curious to hear about what you think of their communities, like what makes them good, what makes them bad, because NFTs are not a science. They're more of an art. And sometimes even the art part doesn't really even make sense.
Yeah, totally. I mean, look, here's the thing. I really do see NFTs as it's the intersection of art and community.
Mhm.
And if it's working well, obviously there's a ton of cash grabs out there. I'm not going to name any names. The hype builders, the brand build, like we're not going to talk about those guys, but the ones where there really is a true community, there's an active development process behind it. There's like an ethos, if you will, like a real culture that is forming behind the communities. I think they are really, really interesting to me. And that's why I've actually been like, yeah, I'm a little bit older, I'm 44. So I'm like ancient compared to, a lot of NFT collectors. But I like it. I really like it. And so I rock the SMB, the Solana monkey business. I got my cop hat. I'm kind of a collector of cop hats from different collections. That's kind of my thing. So I have a cop hat, Ghost Kid. I've got a cop hat, DGen Ape. I have a cop hat. I just bought a pesky penguin after their news this week. I have a cop hat. Do they have cop hats? Newt, who's our favorite neuters? It's the what are they called?
Pesky Pen.
Doug birds.
Oh, Doug birds.
No,
Okay.
Doug birds. Doug birds. Sorry, I was blanking on the name. I was like, oh, I know they say newt. Sorry, the penguins say newt. What do the thug birds say?
Caw caw.
Caw. That's one. Oh my god, there's so many of these. I lose track. So yeah, so I think that's kind of my thing. Like everybody collects for different reasons. I just have like my first. I bought a whole bunch of NFTs and I made a lot of mistakes on ETH. I started out on ETH actually, and I made some decent buys, but mostly I bought a bunch of garbage and I lost money on all of them, and that's fine. Then I moved over to Solana when we decided to actually start building Blockstars on Sol on the Solana blockchain. And that's when I became a bit more discerning, and I actually started doing a bit more research into like, okay, who are these people behind these collections? And I generally don't like anonymous devs. I know you can't kind of get away from it in blockchain. That's one of my pet peeves is anonymous founders who make a lot of promises and build cult followings, and you don't even know who they are in real life. So yeah, that's really. So I'm rambling a little bit here, but like the point I'm trying to make is I started off like carefully, and then over time I was like, okay, as I got more and more confident in like, okay, I understand what this collection's all about. I understand what this collection's all about. I know what this community stands for. I know these guys are going to be building for the longer term or the long term, hopefully. So I started making some bigger buys. SMB was my first very big buy, and I think it might be my forever PFP. I really like my I've got a animated GIF version of it. I've got an AI art version of it as well. So yeah, I'm genuinely collecting these NFTs because I like them and it's fun, and I like the communities behind them. The reason, I'll just tell you very quickly, the reason I'm rocking the SMB as my forever PFP, or at least for now forever PFP, is because that community is a great community of builders, of investors, of gigabrains, of really ethical stand-up people, and that draws me in, right? And that's the kind of community that I want to be a part of. I'm a professional, I'm a founder, I've been making games for a long time, and it resonates with me when you've got this other community around you that are builders too. And so every collection, every community is different, and they're there for different reasons, and that's totally fine. But that's what's so awesome about NFTs. It's like you get drawn in, sucked in to this community that like resonates with you. And when it does, it's a really magical thing. Like you start to like really connect with the NFT, with the art. I really believe it is art. You connect with the art because you're connecting with the community, right? And so there's like this overlap, this Venn diagram of like, okay, what are the communities with the best art that actually resonate with me personally, right? And that's really that's what NFTs to me have come to. Now, they mean different things to different people. Some people, they're just investments. I get that, and that's totally fine. For others, they're utility, some of the DeFi projects. For us, of course, for Blockstars, they're game assets. They're your digital, avatars that you're using to play the game. So they're different things to different people, but the pure collections that I've become a bit degen about that's the connection between art and community coming together in a really interesting way.
I mean, what a great answer again. And it was kind of long, so I'll break down some of my favorite pieces and go deeper there. I love what you said regarding the community and the art, and taking Solana Monkey business as an example, it's actually incredible what's been able to be built just from the power of the community, because everyone in Solana Monkey business or Monkey DAO have collectively decided we're going to form a DAO around this historic collection where the devs have kind of left us, and we're going to value prop this entire collection just through our community. And each and every single member could have said, hey, fuck this. I hate that the devs are not doing anything. I hate that we're value propping this. Let's go take all our like community. Let's take all this work and effort and time that we're putting into this and just go create a new collection altogether and leave this be. But because as a whole and as a community, they decided to buy into it, they've stuck around. And today it's been announced that a buyout is happening from the DAO, from the devs. So yeah, I also personally own 2 SMBs, and I felt pretty in danger, not gonna lie, for the last few weeks because the buyout kept stalling. There was rumors of Yuga, and the community started to be somewhat riled up. And ultimately, I had to ask the question, will this DAO always stay around? Will this DAO sometime lose their faith and kind of their ethos and their mission and just be like, this isn't worth it anymore if the devs are not going to be this involved? And yeah, it's just amazing to see what's actually come out of people doing it purely for the community and not for the money. Because we're in an incredibly capital rich space. We see people raising 6 to 7 digit funding in ways that I wouldn't ever think it's possible in the traditional world, just with concept art, Discord channel, and Twitter. So to see what the DAO has achieved is actually, incredible to say the least.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Like this is the reason, Monkey DAO and SMBs matter is because the community cares. Period. That's like what it boils down to. Like, so it's almost as if like, you know, all the drama behind the scenes, like, I haven't, I've been following it, but I don't really kind of get involved with all of that stuff. Um, to me, it has always seemed relatively inevitable that because of the strength of the community, if you spend any time in the Monkey DAO Discord, I'm not super active like talking, but I lurk. I'm in there, and as I'm sure many of us are, in like lots of different Discords, lurking, checking out what's going on. Like it's such a professional organization. Like it's more professional than many companies, and these people are mostly unpaid, doing this incredible work with these not sub DAOs, but like subcommittees, and all the different committees that are doing all these incredible things. The Monkey Ventures, they're now writing checks, investing in other startups, and this has all been organic, right? And it's all driven, as you say, it's been driven by the community. So to me, it's always felt fairly inevitable that if you are a builder and you're serious about NFTs, you're serious about this space, the Web3 space, and you're in this for the long term for all the right reasons, not for the quick cash grabs, then SMB, for me at least, is the place to be, because I've watched it like operate, and I'm like, yeah, these are professionals operating professionally, in this new world, and they're not trying to get like a ton of hype. Yeah, there's a bit of drama around the whole DAO versus the devs, like, but if you look past that, it's just a really professional organization that cares about its fellow community members, is hosting in real life meetups all over the world, Singapore, in the UK, in New York next week, like all over the world, Austin recently at Consensus. So you're exactly right. Like it's that level of the community is the thing that binds it together. And I mean, the art, I like the art too. It's cute. But it's exactly that. It's the connection between the art and the community. That's where like the magic happens, and anytime I see an SMB PFP, I'm like, okay, I know, like, we'll probably get along. We'll probably like each other. We'll probably have things to talk about. We'll probably share some of the same values. And that's what's so uniquely interesting about the NFT collection type projects. Obviously, there's lots, like I said, there's lots of different ways of doing NFTs. There's the gaming, there's the utility DeFi side, there's the pure art, the pure speculation. But that's where I think a lot of the magic happens, is that connection between like, okay, I know you're with me. I'm with you when I see that PFP, and I know we'll click, and that's really awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, but the thing you said regarding shared values and the community being together, and you instantly recognizing, oh, this is a SMB owner, I'm gonna get along with him, and there's certain characteristic, and it's applicable across the entire space. If you see someone with DGOT, then there are certain attributes that you account to this person owning a DGOT. Same thing for DAA, same thing for Tayo Robotics. Every community has their own kind of unique perks. Maybe the perks is the right word, but something that makes that community unique, and how that community is organized, who the owner is, and like what the day-to-day activity or activities for that community is. So yeah, it's everything's like a little club, and some clubs cost more than others. Some clubs are based on taste. Some clubs are more exclusive, but community rules all right now in the NFT space.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have said it better. And if I can bring it back to Blockstars, like again, we have our own unique community. We have a community of management sim enthusiasts, people who want to play the game, people who are maybe buying into NFTs for the first time, people who like numbers. Management sim games are like essentially giant spreadsheets under the hood. And again, we're very transparent about that. Like this is, we know that not everybody on the planet is going to want to play this game. But what we try to do is we try to put it out there, right? And this is where the community aspect is so interesting for all NFT collections, and maybe even a little advice to communities that are building is, be very clear about what you are about and what you're not about, right? Like we're not about, like we Blockstars are not about financial speculation. We're not about like to the moon. We're about the game. We're about the management sim genre, and we're about building a really social, really community-driven game experience to life. And that's not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. Like that's totally fine. I'll give you an example. For example, when I look at other NFT projects, even if I can see that they have an incredibly strong community and they're going to likely rise in value, in terms of like the financial value, I don't buy into projects that have alcohol or drugs as their themes. And I'm not a purist. I like to drink. I do the occasional edible. So I'm not exactly like a saint on this, but I don't vibe personally with the projects where alcohol or drugs are the theme. And that's okay. It's like I'm not like judging people who are part of those collections and part of those, but that's where it's like, if you're really clear about what you are and what you aren't, you are going to self-select the people who want to be part of that community and who don't want to be part of that community, and that should be fine. It should be absolutely fine for there to be communities that are like, I don't like for whatever reason, but you do, right? And enough people come together and like those communities for the reasons that are transparent, and the founders of the project and the early community members of the project continue to espouse those values, whatever those values might be, right? And so that's why, again, going back to SMB, it's an art. I don't like to use the word club because it's not really a club. It's like a loose organization of builders and operators and lawyers and professionals and people who want to do something in life. And I that vibes with me, and so that's why I'm part of that organization. That doesn't mean I'm not going to collect other projects. I love collecting other projects. Some I won't, like I said, alcohol and drug themed ones, just not for me. I don't see them as necessarily have a long-term longevity or a long-term value. They're like more novelty or meme type things. I'm sure there'll be exceptions. But generally speaking, that's how I operate. So anyway, yeah, just a little bit about my thinking. And again, you asked me earlier, like, what is my advice to other builders or other kind of Web 2, Web 1 even, developers that are coming in, building games or other projects on Web3, like, learn the space, get to understand like what makes these collections tick, like what makes collections fail. Try to learn and become a scholar of the space. There's so much amazing innovation happening in the space on a daily basis. It moves really, really fast, as we all know. And so if you're not spending time staying on top of it, to a certain degree, you can't all your day on Twitter, although sometimes I do more than I should. But stay on top of the space, understand what's going on, know what the metas are, know what the trends are, know who's influencing and why, and understand what the different vibes of the different collections are. Like, what is the community vibing over here versus over there? And when you're building, try to understand, like, am I doing something? Am I building something that somebody's already done? Like, is this vibe already out there? Like, am I trying to compete with an existing project or an existing community with what I'm doing? And if so, can I win? Or is that existing community already strong enough that like you're not gonna peel them off with the 17th hype brand project? For example, I'll use that as an example. The first one can succeed, but if you're getting copy pasta over and over again, well, they're unlikely to succeed because everybody who's already feeling that has gone with the OG, right? So anyway, some more thoughts there on NFTs and collections.
Well, we're nearing the end of the show. I want to give you a chance to speak on any topic that I might have missed or anything you want to shout out.
No shout outs. I just really enjoyed having this conversation. I liked where it ended up going with different NFT collections. But obviously I'm gonna, give a shout out to the Blockstars community and the Blockstars game. If you want to check it out, feel free to do so. Just search for Blockstars on Magic Eden and you can find the collection. It's a 3D project. Each one of the Blockstars is actually an avatar you can use in the metaverse as well. So we deliver you get the FBX file, which is a file format that lets you animate the file itself. And so you can actually have your Blockstar dancing and vibing anywhere in the metaverse, or on your computer, in your house, in your kitchen table, if you use some AR software as well. So yeah, we think they're fun. We think they're unique, and we look forward to welcoming anybody who wants to be part of that community. Come and hang out with us. Come and chat. We're a really welcoming group of people, and we're there for the game. So if you like games, you like management sims, Blockstars is for you. It's currently the only management sim on any blockchain. So if you want to play a management sim on blockchain, well, we're the only game in town. So
you really know what you're about, and you really know what your community is about.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Like, know thyself, right? Like, know yourself, know your community, know why you're doing what you're doing. If you're doing something you don't know why you're doing it, or you're doing it because of the trend, like you're not going to make it, right? You know, you're not going to succeed long term. So no, I mean, we're in this for the long haul. We know exactly what we're building. We know the kinds of people who want to play this type of game. We've been making games a long time, and we know that those gamers are out there. They're crypto curious and looking at blockchain, and they understand why blockchain is interesting for gaming purposes. You know, because you actually own your digital assets, and there are real on ramps and off ramps into other cryptos and fiat currency as well. And again, we're not play to earn. We're not even really play and earn. But we do think the blockchain makes the economy much more real. And that's what's interesting in a management sim. It's all about managing the economy. And the more real the economy is, the more fun you're going to have playing the game. So anyway, yeah, we try to know what we're doing. We try to know our community, and we try to know where we're headed. That's kind of what we're about as a team.
Well, it was awesome having this conversation with you, Niko. And yeah, guys, be sure to check out Blockstars, and later, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone. It's great to be here.